On Wednesday, lawyers for Dominique Strauss-Kahn, former head of the International Monetary Fund, met with prosecutors at the Manhattan District Attorney's Office to discuss the future of the sexual assault case against him. In the weeks since charges against Strauss-Kahn were filed, the prosecution's case has apparently fallen on shaky ground. Strauss-Kahn's accuser has gone from being portrayed in the media as a hardworking immigrant to a liar, and even worse. And in some circles, Strauss-Kahn has gone from likely sexual predator to a victim of overzealous prosecutions by both the Manhattan DA and the media. Here to help us sort through the legal twists and turns is Jami Floyd, a former criminal defense attorney and legal affairs journalist. So what's the latest on the case against Dominique Strauss-Kahn?
Well, as you say, the lawyers for Strauss-Kahn have been meeting with prosecutors in an effort to resolve the case. Defense attorneys say they will move to dismiss the case in court, but behind the scenes, they're working to come to some sort of resolution.
So when you say resolution, what does that mean?
Well, prosecutors would want to strike a deal. They would want him to plead guilty to a misdemeanor, something very minor, and then they would allow him to go home serving no additional time. I think that's highly unlikely. I can't see why he would agree to do that.
And there's a report out basically saying he will not plead to anything. So is the case dropped? And, you know, there are a lot of people who say something happened in that hotel room. What about giving the woman, the alleged victim, the accuser, what about her day in court? Just throwing it all out, just like that?
So the specifics of what they're talking about behind closed doors go directly to the heart of the case. What exactly happened at the moment in time that is at the heart of what a criminal trial would be all about? You have to think about the fact that we're talking about all of this very early on in what would really be a year-long investigation, maybe more.
At this point, there is so much of a negative sentiment around this, and the sense is really that the media was right there. I mean, you're saying let's learn from this, but yeah. Really?
Well, this was a case that really spun wildly out of control, and some of it was due to circumstances, a confluence of events. You're in the middle of summer where the news cycle is a little dull. The man did get on an airplane. That's through no one's fault. He was already scheduled to get on an airplane, but that kicked the police into high gear. They worried that he'd leave the country. They wouldn't be able to arrest him. So rightly or wrongly, they quickly moved to make the arrest. And then once he was arrested, that's where I think mistakes were made on the part of law enforcement, on the part of the prosecutor who spoke too quickly on the courthouse steps, and then on the part of the media who quickly accept everything prosecutors and law enforcement tell them as the truth in terms of we've got an airtight case, we've got a strong case, when clearly they can't know all of that at the very beginning of the case. Meanwhile, you have a defense spinning what they need to spin on their side of it. We should all take a deep breath, especially in rape cases, which are the most emotionally fraught of cases, and wait until the truth comes out in a court of law.
It's really surprising when you look back into our own history in this country and you say, it feels somehow new, it feels somehow different this time. It's been going on.
We've always had a fascination in America with trials, even before mass communications, before the founding of our country, going back to the Salem witch trials. I mean, that was a hysteria that was created by public fascination with witches, and 13 young girls were executed based almost entirely on that hysteria. And you could fast forward, I can't even list them all. The cases during the colonial period, the Boston Massacre case, the Aaron Burr trial, that was 1807, and up through there's the Lindbergh baby trial. I mean, these are cases we all know to this day, and now here we are with DSK.
So you wrote in one of your blog posts, you said, I have a lot of my feminist friends who are really angry because the other part of you, apart from being a woman and somebody who knows the media, is you're a lawyer.
Criminal defense attorney.
A criminal defense attorney. So you're basically saying, look, if you look at this as a lawyer, it's weak.
Well, here's the thing. In any case that a prosecutor has to consider, the key thing that he or she must think about is the complaining witness and the strength of their testimony on the witness stand ultimately.
But that's almost like, regardless of what the crime was, it's about what that witness can say on the stand?
It's about whether they're going to be perceived by the jury, the 12 people who will judge the case, or if it's a judge case, that judge, as credible, truthful, believable. and under cross-examination as well as direct examination. And in this case, the complaining witness began to present with not one, but 2, 3, 4, 5, on her own admission apparently, several credibility problems.
You've actually said, look, there are some news networks that have basically benefited from pumping up this story.
Sure.
How do we manage this? Many of us are consuming the media, and all of a sudden we're like, what, we've been duped? What, to sell more papers or to get more ratings?
Right. Well, we do have to ask ourselves, and the French are certainly asking, what's going on here? Why are we consuming this story the way we've been consuming it, and characterizing the people on either end of the story, Dominique Strauss-Kahn and the woman who we choose not to name, the accuser, on the other side, in such cartoon-like ways.
You actually believe that victims of rape, sexual assault, domestic violence should be named by the media?
I do, because I think we infantilize women when we don't name them. I think women, as any other crime victim, women who have been raped, can stand up and name their accuser in court. They can own the crime. Rape is not a crime of sex or sexuality. It is a crime of violence, and we should call it out as such and not shame these women further by protecting their identity.
All right, so lay it out for us. What do you think is going to happen with this case in the future?
I think the case will ultimately be dismissed by Prosecutor Vance. And I think that the lesson learned, I hope the lesson learned, will be to try not to prosecute these cases in the media and to wait for the rightful prosecution in a court of law.
Jami Floyd, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.